You know the tradition, we're going to use a random generator to decide who is going to vote first, and we're going to start with third place.
So we just announce reason and then who it is, and then we type the score in after we've announced?
Yes.
Okay, and then you want the final song and the body of work typed in?
Yes, because at the end of the day, the scores are just a tool. It doesn't determine the result. It's still our votes. So don't even think of giving the others a 1 and your top pick a 10 or something. I mean, that doesn't work. First one to vote is number 2, and that's Mark.
Okay, so my third place, I think I might have given away a little spoiler in the last round when I guessed that my third place was going to end up being an average of about a 6 to 6.5. This contestant's ceiling, it's incredibly high, and they've proven to me in patches that when everything's working right, they very much deserve to be a finalist in this competition. In the body of work, I've seen too many technical issues for my liking, and it's still someone who I think is trying to find themselves a little as an artist, and while they definitely show that they have the potential for that, it just hasn't been consistent enough for me over the 6 rounds. I've only really seen it twice. What I will say is that when the All-Star season rolls around next, they are going to be one heck of a scary customer in that, though. My third place goes to BB.
Oh, I did not expect that.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Okay. Next person to vote is... Or have you typed in your... 6.4. Are you kidding me? Wow. That's way too harsh, but okay. Next person then is Andrea.
Okay. Well, my third place is... It was a tough one because, like I said, I just had a tough time scoring everybody just because everyone in a way was so good. I mostly looked at the final song when I was looking at all of them, but I also took, of course, into consideration some of the previous bodies of work and just kind of really picked through it. On average, this person has an amazing voice, but when it comes to sometimes hitting the mark, it's not quite there all the time. There's been a few back and forths and a couple times where I've had to do a save. You know, I guess I just kind of gave it away there. I had to save the day, basically. I think, like Mark said, if there's an all-star season, I think this particular person can come back and really just nail it. But I think what he has to do is find himself as a performer and really just kind of nail the emotion, nail just kind of like making it his own and having fun with it and bringing all of the depth and everything together into one performance. But right now, my third place is Tristan.
All right, let me just say that we have a rule change next season that you are allowed to compete again if you haven't won and have only competed once. So you don't have to wait until an all-star season. I think that's
true.
Pretty unnecessary because there's only 6 rounds, so I don't think we have heard them way too much.
Yeah.
My third place goes to someone who I have been a big supporter of throughout the season. If you just look at the scores, because I have often been 1 point ahead of you guys, actually. My third place goes to Tristan. My favorite performance of his was the group round and the judge choice round, because he had this steady and open tone, but sometimes he has disappeared a bit in the mix. In the group round, he was often hidden behind the other singers, and in the big band, his quiet note disappeared. He has often sounded quite stifled and nasal to me. He has a unique voice, but it has often been a hinder, especially on the high notes. I gave him a 9 in the group round and an 8.5 in the judge's choice round. He had emotion, but the high notes were quite jarring to me, and his final song was not quite a finale performance to me, or a song choice to pick for the finale. He has developed from his first audition though. He didn't stand out at all in the beginning, but all the other rounds he has pretty much been one of the top performers, and he really deserves this final position. And my score for him was an 8 for the final song, and my average was, I have it on my phone here, 7.5 actually. And I took this straight from my average score, so I haven't changed anything.
Ooh, getting closer.
Yeah, and we're going to save the arguing until later if we decide to change any positions, because you have to play that devil's advocate when you're being a judge, right? Even though that's really scary, but okay.
Well, if someone has to. That's probably why you got me here, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. Someone's gonna do it, and I'm pretty sure who that's gonna be. Okay, first one to vote. Okay, it's Mark again, but should we really do it in that order?
Re-roll.
Okay.
Re-roll.
Okay, sure. Huh? Did you say re-roll?
Re-roll, yeah.
Re-roll.
Sure. And it's Mark again, and then it's me.
It really wants Mark's opinion.
but it's gonna take a long time because I have so many notes on this. You're gonna have to be patient, okay? Drinking water. Okay, so my first place. Huni, this guy is only 18 and he still has pretty much perfect technique already. I have never been a fan of K-pop, like I said, but he has really changed my mind throughout this season, and he has truly touched my heart, even though I don't understand the language. He has been super on point, and he sounds professional pretty much already, and he pretty much always gives a complete package, and it sounds effortless. BB, hands down, has the most powerful voice this season. I can tell he has done this for years. He has done everything right as far as showing range and dynamics every round goes, but he's lacking some raw emotion, I think. He did get it at some points though, like round 2 and last round actually, but not at Huni level. Sometimes when you want to win so badly, you kinda lose this sense of singing for the music's sake, and instead you are just singing because you want to please other people. He dodged some notes in his Judge's Choice song, but it was still my best performance actually. I gave him a 9 for the Judge's Choice round. Overall, he has been the most consistent to me, cause he has my highest body of work score actually. I have always been concerned that Huni's entries are heavily pitch corrected, and that's all of his entries. That is positive in the real world because it shows you have the tools to do a professional mix. But how fair is that in a singing competition? Autotune can't give you a good technique or a beautiful K-pop voice though. That's coming straight from him. And it's possible we are wrong about that, like we have been before, like with Lexi in round 2, and that's not a chance I would take for such an amazing and unique artist. In Swedish Idol there was actually a guy who did an audition and it sounded like his voice was autotune, but it was actually not, so that can actually happen. BB has the strongest average score for me until now, but I'm going for the peaks, just like I did with Miriam in season 5. Huni has given me a 10 twice, and that's what a next top singer should do. He is something fresh and something new, it's something we haven't had before, and I really want to commend him for really trying to sing in English because he has been very uncomfortable with that. He hasn't always been comfortable in his songs, but when he is, he has gotten my highest scores in this season, which is a 10 obviously. He is a very well-rounded singer, he has those runs and that texture and that smoothness and those powerful vocals, and he has a very wide range. It's kind of the best of all worlds in a way. He can be super soft and smooth and cleaner than any other guy this season, but then he can add this texture to his voice that adds a needed roughness to his songs. It's most noticeable in his first audition, but also in this song actually. I wish he would have picked Salvation or Euphoria last round to at least have a chance to get a 10, but he did it this round instead. It's pretty similar to Salvation. It's this kind of ethereal song that I really love. I mean, it's such a great finale song choice to me. He is proficient in 2 different languages, so he would appeal to multiple markets if he's singing professionally, and he would also appeal to K-pop auditioners in Next Top Singer who would be encouraged by this. There is always a magic that happens when he sings those high notes, and I truly believe in him as an artist. He just has it. Huni is my winner. Next person then.
I went second last time, so Mark should probably just go second this time.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Sure. Since the phone keeps wanting... Oh, wow, words. Since the phone keeps wanting to put me up anyway, so let's go for it. So this was a real tough one for me with the 2 that I've got remaining in my top 2. One of them had a 1-point edge in terms of the average. One of them had a 1-point edge in terms of the final score. So I'm looking at 2 that are very much even in terms of that. And very impressive stuff, I think, to be in this position, and leaves me a very tough choice, which is always fun. Tristan, for me, this one, little bit of a wobble. He was the weakest of the 3, but only just. But he's produced some of my favourite performances of the competition, and crucially, he pulled that off in the later stages. And from round 2, we saw the musicianship from him. He makes incredible use of 3-part harmony, as well as playing all the instruments, and that is a sign that we have a real artist on our hands with him, very well rounded, and then he can bring so many things onto the table and make it work, and then loves to be able to perform with the videos and with the way that he takes it on. And with him, it's not all about flash. It's about solid 3-part harmonies. It's about very good use of instruments, and it's the little tweaks here and there, just working in a little change in phrasing or whatever. It's subtle. It doesn't blow anyone's head off necessarily, but he is a super solid performer. And how many times have we had super solid performers in the final? And again, it's a similar similar kind of choice for me of a head versus heart decision, because with Huni, again, he's produced some of my favourite performances in the competition so far with his contributions, and the only one that fell short really was in the big band round. I think that was something that we have to think about and keep in mind. And are there questions about someone being a little limited in terms of they have to be in their comfort zone to really be able to bring out their best? I think there is something of that has to factor into my decision, but their grasp of softness and dynamic it sends shivers down my spine. And then when they get the chance to really have some fun, like the Justin Timberlake cover, absolutely takes hold of it, and it just shows they have so many options. They need to be in a comfort zone, but their comfort zone is quite broad and quite spread out and very interesting. And I've got two that have delivered my highest score that I've given. They've both delivered 9 out of 10 performances, and as I say, in the scoring they are so very close. I think had it not been for this final performance and a little bit of a backward step, I maybe would have gone in a slightly different direction. But listening to the bodies of work again one more time today, and then listening to the final songs as well, there is one that has the ability to move me in a way that the other never really has, which is why my first place goes to Huni.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, it's at this point there's pretty much it's majority rules anyway. So we got 2 first place for Huni, 2 third place for Tristan. So
but anything can happen during voting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not, to be perfectly honest, I'm not exactly. My first and second place are pretty much like a half a point away. So I'm not going to be disappointed with whoever wins in the end, to be honest. I think either is a good choice. I think all 3 were the perfect candidates for our final. I can't really see anybody else really being in our top 3, so I'm pretty much happy with where we are. I am going against the fray. I had BB as my first place and Huni as my second place, and my reasoning was because personally I just always thought BB had this very smooth voice, a very strong voice, always tried to give us the kind of performances that were unique and versatile, and there's that trill in the voice that is just so beautiful. Huni always gave us a very good performance, but a lot of times there were just disconnects with me. There was one time that you had to use a star to save Huni, and I think this last episode, or the last episode when you weren't here, that was when you were off, and it was, I think, me, Mark, and was it Scott? I think it was Scott that guest judged. Yeah. I believe Huni was actually slated to go, and Mark argued to keep Huni over, I think Dream Kitu was actually going to kind of edge in, but then Mark argued for Huni, and we kind of all agreed. So I don't know, I think Huni gave the better performance in this episode, but collectively they're pretty much equal. But I just found myself more leaning towards BB, but I'm pretty much fine with Huni winning by majority vote too, because literally it could have flipped on anyway. So
yeah, I mean, if you look at my scores, BB and Huni were separated by not even half a point, I think.
Yeah, it was just such a teeny little point.
Let's count, actually. They were separated by a 0.3, so I wouldn't be impossible to convince if you want to try to convince me here to switch, because it is a majority vote. So
I'm not Mark. I'm not good at the whole just twisting, playing mind games until everybody caves. I basically just, my belief system is just personally, I found myself leaning more towards BB the entire competition. I felt that the trill in the voice, the smoothness, the control, where he can give us soft and yet strong, was really good. I like the versatility. For Huni, I just felt there were so many times where Huni got uncomfortable because he was outside of his comfort zone. It's amazing they made it as far as they did. They both have such an amazing talent, but I just personally believe BB was one of those who never gave us a bottom performance, was never really, for me, at risk of leaving, whereas Huni was at risk a couple times throughout the season. And when it comes to just looking at the final songs, I still think BB gave us just a slight edge with that note, that one big note. Huni, I mean, it was good. It was in his comfort zone, whereas I think BB just gave us the versatility, gave us the power, gave us the softness, but yet didn't lose himself.
I completely agree that BB has been the more consistent singer of them, but for me it is about the peaks. I mean, if you look at Mariam from season 5, she was not consistent throughout her season, but she gave us that final final magical moment. And that's what Huni has done now twice for me. That's what I'm going by the most.
See, I didn't get that magical moment from Huni until this one was the first time that I didn't judge the group round. I didn't really judge the group round, but to me, I just didn't. I don't know.
But have you listened to the group round?
I listened to the group round. I listened to the group round many times before this, because I listened when you actually uploaded it. Even though I didn't judge, I was listening to it. For me personally, I mean, like I said, this is all objective and personal. I didn't get the big wow moment until this final episode.
And I still gave a score to the Judge's Choice round, even though I weren't there, because I needed to get my average.
Well, yeah, I did that. I gave it to just so that I could get my collective, but collectively, Huni and
score? Sorry.
I was just gonna say, collectively, Huni and BB are the same. I don't have my notes on me here. I wrote them down on a piece of paper. I believe it was a 7 for the group round. I think I gave 7s for both. I'd have to find that paper. I think I have it in my car.
Now, for
like
me,
I said, at this point, it's kind of moot. So.
Sure. And on the versatility... Okay, Mark?
Question.
It's like we're always just interrupting each other, but okay, that's fine.
It seems like it. The question for you both, then, since someone needs to do the old devil's advocate thing.
Oh, God.
But I have to make my point about versatility too, because I think it's pretty important. Yeah. So for me, versatility is only a piece of the puzzle. It's not the entire thing. I mean, it's also
and
about...
And I didn't judge that as an entire thing.
Yeah. It's also about the voice and performing the pieces you do put out. And all of them have versatility. In the finale, I don't blame them for not stepping out of their comfort zone.
That's not what I'm saying.
Especially when they have before, because this is their time to show who they are as an artist and sell that to us.
You missed my point. You missed my point completely. It is nothing just to do with the versatility. It's the fact that when he goes outside and tries to be versatile, things kind of fall apart, like in the big band round. As long as Huni is doing Huni's really good. It's not just the fact that he's not versatile. It's the fact that when he tries to be versatile, things slip. It's just like Phoebe. Phoebe couldn't do anything outside of that J-pop sound. And when she tried to give us she still did good, but it was still J-pop. Whereas Huni tries to go outside of that K-pop sound, and then it just doesn't work. I mean, there's technical issues, there's an emotional disconnect, there's a discomfort you can kind of hear. And so it wasn't just the versatility, it was the technical that goes inside the versatility as well. I mean, in the end, there's really not much else you can do because, again, Huni wins anyway. So, and I'm fine with that. I'm just trying to explain why I can't go the route and say, you know what, I'm changing my mind and I'm going to switch and give it a clean sweep. Me personally, I just can't do that.
Okay,
unless Mark wanted to be the devil's advocate, so let's see what Mark has to say.
And I'm going to try to as well. Well, as opposed to you guys, I actually liked the big band round because sometimes when the competition gets so tight, then we are really grasping for those small reasons to vote someone out, and then we run with it. It wasn't bad at all. I mean, it was slightly less comfortable, but he still gave us energy in some way, and he was still pretty solid. I mean, in comparison to the ones who left, I think, or the ones that I didn't give a star to. I mean, that's why I gave him a star, because I just didn't think it was bad enough. I gave him a 7.5 that round, actually.
I mean, that's an interesting one to bring up on Big Band, because for me, I didn't feel like he had the energy. It felt a little bit, and Andrew and I think we had it between first half and second half, and we flip-flopped and thought we had it the other way. But it's kind of like he started with a little bit of swagger for me, and then just kind of fell off, like he's just sort of standing at the mic stand and delivering it and trying to get the thing finished. And I mean, I think for that round, we eliminated probably one of the most creative entries from Kat, maybe, in terms of, I think that was the right call at the time, but that in terms of an overall package of being super on point and super creative with the video and the black and white and the sound effects. I think in terms of a singing competition, that was the right shout. But yeah, it was a real tough one to have to wave goodbye to a couple of people in that round. And for me, that was a big drop off for Huni in a big way in terms of his scoring. He would have walked it if it wasn't for that score pulling it down. And my devil's advocate, Andrew, you basically touched on it already, to be honest.
But let me respond to that first. Okay. I mean, I was actually choosing between Kat and Huni as well, because they had the exact same score that round. But like I said, I still liked his performance. And yeah, no, I completely lost my train of thought, so I guess you can go ahead with yours. with your thing.
Cool, yeah. I guess the point's already been covered, but just to highlight it again, Hooney has variety in his comfort zone, and that he picked a poppy Justin Timberlake thing and absolutely smashed it out of the park. And he's got two sides to him. He's got the soft, ethereal sort of K-pop version, and he's also got the fun, very poppy, sort of heavily produced thing about him. So he's got a couple of options, but there is definitely some limitations. And I guess final question for me is, should the winner of Next Top Singer be limited, or should the winner be someone that will take any challenge that you throw at them and grab hold of it and have a good go at it? Which I think is going to be the choice that we have between Hooney and BB, really. That's the big thing that separates them for me.
Yeah, well, the thing for me is that I don't think he has done any bad performance in this show as opposed to you guys. And like I said, versatility is just a piece of the puzzle. I mean, Heather in 2019 was not the most versatile singer of 2019, but she still won that season because she brought that magic, and I think Hooney has really done that. And I don't think we can just ignore all of his abilities, because he might not be as comfortable with big band as he is with K-pop that he has probably sung for his entire life.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just the big band for me. It was the last episode, he was also kind of at risk as well. And like I said, Mark argued him back into the play, and I'm glad he did. I still think that Hooney gave us an amazing performance. And if I was just basing it solely on this performance, I could easily switch BB and Hooney and then just give Hooney a clean sweep. But if I'm looking collectively, objectively, again, everything's objective. Everyone has, different opinions, and you know what they say about opinions.
Don't you mean subjective?
Or subjective, yeah. Subjectively, BB gave me more of a consistent performance, where Hooney kind of like was up, down, up, down, up, down, and that's just kind of how I ended up. Unless Mark wants to change his vote, it's not going to matter to Hillabeen, since, that we got the majority vote thing here. Any one of them are deserving to win, so I'm just really basically arguing my thought process more than who's really deserving.
That's the way it kind of goes, though, isn't it? It's you kind of reel off what you're thinking and then hope someone else sort of latches on and jumps onto it. I think the trouble, you were never going to be able to shift me on the BB thing. And again, like I say, at the 2 times when he's nailed it, he has absolutely nailed it. But then there are 4 times where, for me, the amount of technical issues haven't been able to be ironed out by the performance, because I've had performance-related issues as well, and it hasn't blown me away to the point where I can look past what are generally quite a big list of technicals for me. And I've got them all time-stamped if he wants to have a look at it at some point. I can write them all out. That's fine. I'm not a big stickler for technicals. Like, it's the be-all and end-all, and I can overlook it at times, but I need the performance to be there to make me want to overlook it. And for BB, I haven't had that in sort of 2/3 of the performance for him. So I'm a non-mover on that front. But again, like I say, he is not that far away from being an incredible, incredible artist in his own right as well for me. So I'm definitely seeing the potential, but I'm set as far as I stand on that front.
Yeah, I have never agreed with you voting him down in all rounds. For me, they are really close, so I would be the mover here, I guess. But it's gonna take some arguing, because I think our 3 finalists are on 3 different levels of emotional delivery throughout the season, because I have never been truly moved by BB in the same way that I have been with Hooney. Tristan is well and truly on the 3rd place, and then BB is on the 2nd place and Hooney is on the 1st place. And especially because Hooney sings in a foreign language, bringing that emotion is going to be more difficult, so that's even more impressive that he can move me to that level, even when I don't understand the language. And that's why I don't think I'm going to change on Hooney and BB, actually. The more I think about it.
Hooney being in 1st place is absolutely not something that I would be against whatsoever. I can see what your point is, and like I said, I'm not arguing against Hooney being in 1st place. I was just arguing basically what my thought process was.
So it looks like Mark is absolutely not going to change his mind to BB, and I'm definitely not going to go to Tristan for 1st place. So it looks like this decision is pretty set. So is there really a point in continuing here? Yeah. I mean, I have more points that I could potentially bring up for just playing devil's advocate, but is it worth it at this point?
At this point, question. I don't think so. You're not going to move Tristan for either of us. I'm pretty firm where I am there, and I don't think that I'm going to move you or Mark towards BB for 1st place. So I think that we're pretty much done, unless Mark Mark has any other, because you know how he does. You know how Mark does. Mark likes to throw the wrench once in a while, so.
No, I think I'm done. Sometimes it hasn't happened, but in previous seasons where I found myself in a situation where I wasn't that happy with how the result was shaking out, I was thinking, look, worst that happens, I put up a really good fight, I go down swinging 2-1 against. That is the way that the cookie crumbles. That's fine. I've done my bit as far as that goes, and if Andrew's kind of happy to have done her bit on that, then I think it works, and we can't really have gone wrong here. We've talked about it, we've kicked it around a little bit, and I think at the end of the day, we've got a decision that I can't really complain about.
I think we can all say we're happy. I mean, even if it's not exactly where we would want to be 100%, I don't think we can really argue that this is the wrong decision.
And let me just put it out there that I know that BB really wants to win this, and I have seen that, but at the end of the day, I have to think of all of the points that I have brought up here. I mean, there is the emotional aspect and whatever.
That's a completely fair point. I think we've seen the amount of effort that he's put into it, and he really has given it all for most of his performances, aside from that one time he tried to throttle back on my say-so when maybe that was a little slip. But by the same token, for him, I think there is a lot that he can take out of it in terms of the feedback that he has gotten, and there is nothing that we've raised for him on a negative front that he can't tighten up or that he hasn't shown at times as well. So he just needs to take the feedback and put it all together, and if he delivers his best on a week in, week out basis in a future round, then I think we'll be seeing him take that next step.
I had so many more points I could have brought up. I was ready for arguing here, but it doesn't seem like it's needed.
I can't argue. Like if I was like 2 or 3 points different, I mean, then I would be willing to fight and argue. But I mean, we're talking barely half a point of a difference for me. So
let's just outro this.
Okay,
Mark?
Yeah, can do. I can try and wing something.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was it for the end of Next Top Singer, and we have our decision. Congratulations to Hooney, who ends up taking the crown. 2 star saves in the final as well. One of those star saves ending up taking the win. It just shows how tough it is to keep that consistency all through every single round.
We needed Mark and his wrench throwing. If it wasn't for Mark, we wouldn't be where we are because, like I said, Hooney almost went home last episode.
And if it wasn't because of my star, we wouldn't be where we are now.
I don't know. I think it was more Mark because Hooney was about to go home last episode, but Mark was the one who
was going home in the big band round, and I gave him a star. Give me my credit now, guys. I deserve it. And let me tell you one thing. So far, all of my stars have ended up winning the competition at some point. So those are some big shoes to fill.
We'll see.
I told you so. I told you so.
I mean, to be fair, we've all done well with our stars this season, I reckon.
Yeah, I do believe so.
Yeah,
yes.
you have.
Yeah.
But my star was the best.
All right, I think that's it.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Wow, it's 1 month and 10 days since I did this last time, so let's see if I have forgotten how to be a judge or not.
Oh, yeah.
Not a good place to forget that in the finale.
No, it's not. Mark is here.
Marky.
Good evening, Vietnam.
Huh? What was that?
Good evening, Vietnam.
What?
You gotta say that more dramatically. Good evening, Vietnam.
What about Vietnam?
It's a movie. Well, it's not good evening. It's good morning, Vietnam. But...
Oh yeah, of course it is. I've had this great idea where I was going to quit coffee, and I've been limiting myself to 1 coffee a day, and my brain isn't working anywhere near as well as it should have done. So
now is the wrong time to do that.
Guest judge.
Do not do that. Okay, seriously. I actually, and I just covered this on my radio show a couple days ago, there's a study that came out that said people who drink 1 to 3 cups of coffee a day actually seem to have less of a response to COVID should they catch it, and they've been catching it less than people who don't drink coffee. I don't know how true any of that is, but that was on some kind of a news thing that I had to do for my show a couple days ago. You'll have to look that up. They also said that coffee reduces something else, like reduces something with something. I don't know. You have to look it up online. Just Google
something
coffee and COVID.
Not a good case for me to start to drink coffee more often.
Oh, I love coffee. I can't live without coffee.
My friend is such a coffee holic. alcoholic, but I just drink it sometimes. I don't understand the hype. It barely affects me. I don't know why.
Oh, see, here it is. Coffee consumption linked to lower risk of COVID-19. Coffee and vegetables may protect against COVID-19. Can drinking coffee daily lower your risk of COVID-19? I mean, they're ABC News, newsnorthwestern.com, the health site, ncausa.org.
Can you post the link?
Let me see. Let me grab, let me pull one up here.
How did this turn into a COVID debate?
Because he's getting rid of coffee, and I don't think it's a good idea right now.
Sure. There was a myth about sauna helping against COVID, so maybe that's why Finns have done so well in this pandemic.
Yeah.
Now, wasn't it Belarus that said that we're going to fight COVID with saunas, hot tubs, and vodka?
Vodka,
Probably.
I could see that. Medicinal purposes.
Part 1. Okay, and that's at 3 minutes and 50 seconds. I have to remember that. Does anyone have an intro prepared, or should I just do it as usual?
Absolutely
in the finale?
not. You know me.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I never have an intro prepared, I just do it. So suit yourself if it's not to your taste. We don't know who is gonna... No, I'm gonna cut that. For once, I'm stuttering. Stomping on my intro. No, I don't know. Okay, does anyone have a place they need to start?
Mark said he did.
No, I'm fixing the sheet. I'm making the sheet work. I'm doing useful things.
But there's no hurry with... You see my problem?
No, that's all right. I got it. Right, we're there.
Woo!
Right. I can
Well
start
done.
anyway if you want, though.
Yeah, you can.
I gave the wrong number to the wrong person. See, that's what happens when I'm... Okay.
Oh.
All right. Okay, so, it's all good now.
Stop and save. And yeah, I think you have probably guessed it, but it's Tristan. So, man, I have to re-record that. That was really bad. My third place goes to Tristan. So, they are separated by 0.3, I think. No, wait.
There, so...
Math. There is the versatility aspect and just the emotional aspect and whatever. I'm gonna cut that. That was really bad. I don't know. It was over a month ago I did this. I don't know how to anymore.